Hey guys, welcome to my channel. For today's makeup video, I just did a regular glam tutorial with the That's Taupe ColourPop 9 pan. So if you guys like this look and want to see how I did it, keep watching. So to start off, we need a sticky serum. I usually use a Farsali, but we're going to do the 111 Skin Pollution Defense Booster. I've been using this one for a while, and I actually really like it. So once I've got that all patted into my skin, I prime it with the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer. This is probably my favorite primer next to the Milk Hydro Grip, of course. So I just use my hands, which you don't have to use your hands. You can use a brush or a sponge, and I just put it all over my face, my forehead, my T-zone, and I also make sure to get my neck. Next, we are going in with my absolute favorite pot concealer by NARS. I'm using the shade Madeline. If you can't tell, I absolutely love this stuff. It's a little bit pricey, but promise, if you're going to spend the money on any expensive item, it is going to be this. Just pat it in where you have redness, imperfections, acne, etc. Going in with yet another favorite, it is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. It is in light beige, however, I have been tanning and my freckles get a lot darker as I tan, so I should probably be using a darker shade, but we're going to go with it. We're going to make it work. I don't think it looks too bad. I have been dying to try the matte foundation they came out with this, but this is a medium to full coverage foundation, so you can build it up. We're going to be using the famous, notorious Tart Shape Tape. I'm using the shade Fair Light Neutral, and I am in love with this. I know that there's a big debate. Some love it, some hate it. I love it. I think it works great with the Too Faced foundation. So I just use my wet sponge and I buff it into all the places that I need. Depending on the shape of your face, you may conceal a little differently, but I usually just go with the basics. I probably use a little too much. You probably don't need to use as much as I did here, but it'll be okay. Next up, yet another favorite, I feel like I'm going to say that a lot, is the Dip Brow Pomade from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I am using the shade Chocolate. I really like this stuff. I find myself using this a lot more than a pencil, but again, just a preference of mine. I usually outline my brows, fill them in, and then I will use little flick motions to lightly fill in the front of my brows. I don't usually like to make the front of them as dark as I do the back, but I'll get it pretty close. I'm now going in with the P. Louise base. I'm using the shade Rumor 01. I do believe it's one of the lightest shades they have, but I'm not quite sure. I just use it to clean up my underbrow and make sure that that line is nice and flawless, clean up any mistakes I've made, and then make sure you blend it out afterwards so that you obviously cannot tell. I'm now using my Wet n Wild dual-ended contour stick. I don't find myself using the highlight very often, but the cream contour is A1 for me. I love it. I use it in my everyday looks. I have been putting my contour a little bit higher up on my cheekbones than I usually do. That tends to be the new in thing, and I'm loving it. I'm using the shade Medium Tan. They do only have light, medium, and dark, which I think is ridiculous. They should have a lot more shades, but we're just using the wet sponge and buffing it where we need it. After I've got that all blended, I'm going to go in with my ABH Loose Setting Powder in Translucent. Apparently I can't speak today. Unless you're using a very thick layer of concealer and foundation, you don't need to completely bake or fill your face with powder. It will make you look cakey and gross, so just use a tiny thin layer. When I'm finished, I take a big fluffy brush and I just brush off the excess. Another favorite, I know I sound ridiculous, another favorite, but really another favorite, is the Pretty Vulgar Face Palette in Nesting Bee Face. I use the darkest bronzer in there, which is the Sunkissed Snitch. I absolutely love this, and I just brush it in over my contour, and I think it looks flawless. It looks beautiful. I am obsessed. After we finish buffing that into the face, we are on to blush. And for blush today, we're going to use the Kylie Cosmetics Baddie on the Block. It is the prettiest, subtle, yet very capable of being buildable, peachy, pink, and I think it looks so pretty in the summer. However, it is my go-to right now, so we're dragging it into fall. Shh. Right now, I'm going to take the P. Louise base and buff it into my eyes. You want to make sure it dries, but having a sticky base is perfect when you want to use maximum pigment with eyeshadow. Like I said in the beginning, we are using the 9pan That's Taupe ColourPop palette. I think this palette has the prettiest set of neutrals for the beginning of fall. We're starting off by packing Bedrock into our crease line. It does not have to be perfect. We're going to clean it up later. I'm now using the transition shade Boo, and I'm just giving that a nice blend around the edges. That little thing that you've seen pop in there is my dry brush cleaner. Sometimes when I want to use the same brush, it is great to clean up what I've used and start out with a different color. I'm now cutting my crease, again with the same P. Louise base. It doesn't look perfect right now, but give it a second, trust the process. We're going to take Bedrock again and pack it into our outer corner. I'm also using a flat definer brush to buff it underneath my eye, and then taking that same transition shade we used up top, Boo, and shading out the rest of my under eye. We're now going to use our color Slated for our cut crease. It's a very pretty creamy shimmer, perfect for this look. I'm also going to use the black in the Kat Von D palette. I am using that same definer brush, and I'm just shaping out where I want my liner. I feel like it makes my liner nice and dark, and it's also a lot easier to not end up making a thicker liner than you're going for. We're going to go in with our Glamnetic Felt Tip Magnetic Liner today, since we're using magnetic lashes. I think that just gives off the perfect black color. I sometimes go over it with their liquid liner as well, just because I think that it sticks a lot better when I use both, but you do not have to. I'm also going in with my Trestique Mascara. Mascara doesn't really matter with this look, being that we are going to be using lashes, but this is a pretty great mascara. It doesn't seem to clump, and it makes my lashes look great. As I said, we're going to use Glamnetic's magnetic lashes today. They are my absolute favorite. If you take favorite from anything, it is these. I use these in almost every single one of my looks, and I have almost all of their lashes. Shout out to Glamnetic. Please sponsor me. I love you. I'm also using their anchors. Did I say what kind of magnetic lashes? They are in the style Luxie. And then I take the lash anchors for the middle corners. It just makes them stick a lot better, especially if you don't have a lot of liner at the bottom. I didn't feel like my blush was enough in this look, so I used the Juvia's Place blush palette. However, you notice I put way too much, so that is me trying to fix it and wash away some of the excess. Just to state, I am using the Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette, and I'm using the blush Lena. I'm using the Ofra Nikki Tutorials Trio for highlight, and I'm using the Highlight Glazed Donut. I just pop it on my cheeks, on my nose, on my Cupid's bow. I pop a little underneath my eyebrows, and then I also buff it into the inner corners of my eyes. I think it's the perfect little highlight to give your eyes a little bit more pop. For our liner today, we are using the Real Her lip liner in the shade I Am Confident. I'm not sure that that's the shade name, but I don't see anything else on the stick, so I'm just going to go with I Am Confident as the shade name. I do not have much of an upper lip, therefore I would love to get used to overlining my lips a little bit, but like I said, I'm not used to it yet, so I always think it looks a little bit crazy. As you can see, we're just lining my lips like usual, and then going in with our liquid lip. As you can see, we're using the Kylie Cosmetics from the Velvet collection in the shade Basic. I think this is a really pretty nude, but it's also dark enough that it qualifies as a fall shade. And lastly, we're finishing off with the Tart Set and Prep Spray, spraying it all over my face, and that is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching my first YouTube video, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you guys can get notified when I upload more YouTube videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you guys.